G'day, I'm Ben from Catch Pro Australia, and this is Lawn Care Skull Sessions, the most unprofessional podcast in the world. I've got my co-host with me, the bearded lawnsman. How you going, brother?
Oscar, what's happening, bruh?
Don't have my phone on silent. That's already...
Boo worms! Unprofessional as always.
We got a special guest that we're going to introduce to you soon.
Yep.
We are coming off the back of a good episode with a great guest in Benny Brown.
Yep.
And
that was a really good episode.
We've had good feedback. Hopefully that has delivered, hopefully that story delivered a little bit of insight.
Yeah, it did. It got a conversation started on LMCA, which I was involved with. I don't know if you jumped in, but yeah, there's a few comments thrown around in there, which is cool. I think we should get some other guys from different franchises in, but...
And for those of you who didn't stick around to the end of that episode, there actually is going to be a part 2. Ben Brown has an exciting new career that he's going to share with us.
Cool.
Which is industry related.
It is.
So I'll just leave it at that. But today, our guest, we're going to be interviewing Kenny Morris from the Stripe Life.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, basically Stripe Life is a social media page, and I mean it blows my mind when you see those mad stripes.
Yeah.
They got that shit on point.
It's awesome. So they got 50,000 members about on Facebook, and I think 30,000 on IG. I don't know if they fuck with TikTok or not, but
which seems small for their market. But in terms of their homegrown page, pretty amazing.
Well, we'll definitely get into it. I was going to say that there's definitely probably some haters on there too, so that'll be interesting to talk about.
Now, I know everybody out there is not like Ben, right? But this dude, it just, we're half a world away, but he's our age.
Yeah.
And he has a lot of similar interests.
Yep.
I find his content hilarious. A lot of old wrestling stuff, and I don't know, it sort of takes me back, to when times were cooler.
Back in the day, back when we were 18.
Yeah. So, without further ado, let's welcome in Kenny Morris from Stripe Life. All right, guys, welcome in Kenny Morris from Stripe Life in the US. Kenny, how you going, bro?
How you guys doing?
Everyone, really good, really good. Nice and cool here today.
Only 1 week out.
Freezing at home.
Only 1 week out for Christmas, so a lot of people are sort of getting ready to wrap up their year. In terms of work, mate, are you getting ready for holidays or vacation or anything, or?
No, so I'm working part-time now, and it's definitely off season for us. So I did some leaf jobs and some cleanups, and probably right around first week of December, everything kind of ended for me. I mostly just like to do lawn care. We do basic mulch jobs, hedge trimming, light cleanup, stuff like that. So for me and what I offer as far as services, I kind of ended first week of December. So I'm probably pretty much dead till about March 1st. I'll start doing some spring cleanups and stuff like that.
Do you get snow where you are in your?
Yeah, so I'm in Maryland. So Maryland's kind of you get all seasons here. So the last couple years we haven't got that much snow, but this year we're hoping for some decent snow. We'll kind of get maybe 10 storms, anywhere from 2 to 8 inches on average, but every once in a while we get hit with a blizzard or something.
Is that something you're into, is snow removal, or is it something you're looking into?
No, so I actually just picked up a UTV from Cub Cadet. And this thing is like a Ford Ranger driving it around. And that's got a snowplow. So I was going to pick up a bunch of residential accounts. Just in my own neighborhood where we moved recently, there's 50 houses that all have about 1,000-foot driveways. So I can make a pretty decent paycheck every time it snows, just staying, riding right out of my own garage and not going on a main road. Yeah. And then I have a commercial snowblower that I left over at my in-laws. I cut about 13 yards in that neighborhood. It's an HOA. It's one of my best neighborhood accounts. So I was going to go over there and take care of some stuff with that. possibly as well. If we get some action here.
Is it like that in your area? Is there like HOAs like here, there, and everywhere? Like, do you try
Yeah.
and
So
infiltrate them?
the first house that I ever bought had like 5 acres, and obviously no HOA. You could do whatever you wanted. I built a wiffle ball stadium out back, and it was like amazing. And then we moved to be closer to my in-laws, like literally across the street. And like first month in there, the current HOA president, it was kind of like a retirement. It was 33 houses. Everybody was like 65 plus. And then we come over there. I think I was like 32 and shook some shit up. And the current president's like, hey, you want to be president? I was like, fuck yeah. And he, boom, makes me president without even a vote. I had half the place hating me. I was playing with the budget, I was doing all sorts of stuff. I didn't know what was going on. And that kind of went down in a pile of flames in 2 years. We literally we had people that wanted to like Molotov cocktail my house with me in it. And then, like the market went up. So we ended up getting a lot for that house. We sold, and now we're back to like 2 acres and no HOA. So back to normal,
Yeah, cool. Now, before we get into too much sort of work stuff, we thought we'd have a little bit of fun and ask you a few questions.
Shoot.
So do you know, mate, do you know anything about Australia? Like what can you tell the listeners?
I mean, I would say just probably like the basic American. Like when I think of Australia, I think of giant spiders and bugs that I don't want anything to do with. I think of kangaroos. And that's, I mean, we don't really hear like a lot. You guys are kind of like neutral. Like nobody hates you. Nobody really knows a ton about you. It's just like this distant land with spiders that you don't vacation to.
Well, we do get, apparently what I've heard is that everyone thinks that Australia is like really racist, which I got to be honest, we are, but it's a different type of racism. It's not like we're locking people up and killing them, but it's like when, you get telemarketers and people who like ring you, and for Australians, like if we can't understand you, we just crack the shits. We're just like, what are you saying? What are you saying? Fuck off,
Like with you guys, like I always hear, and they joke around, like you guys use like cunt. Like over here, if you say cunt, we're like, that's like right underneath the N word over here. And you guys say it like that's just like your normal word, I guess, huh?
Wait, I wish we had this interview before I came over for the Equip Expo, because in Louisville on 4th Street, me and Rob Shearer and Scotty Osborne, we were teaching a landscape company, a group of about 6 guys. We had to explain why we call our mates cunts and cunts mates. So right in the middle of 4th Street.
Like it's a word you don't hear often over here, and you guys throw it around. I always think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much the only rule around, like females don't really appreciate the word too much.
Yeah.
But it's hilarious. Like I've been teaching Corey Ballard how to use the word, and he's gotten the hang of it.
So, now, have you ever met Corey in person?
No, I've never been to America.
Wait, I was meant to catch up with him when I was over there, same as I was supposed to catch up with you. I saw Corey on our last day. I had my bags out on the street, and I saw him drive past in his Ballard mobile, and I'm like, Corey! And I'm just yelling at him and his wife.
I had a whole bag of stuff for you. Where were you Thursday? Thursday, I sat inside the Hustler booth all day. I literally hand ripped like 1,000 ticket vouchers, and we gave away like 5 Yeti coolers. I had Corey Ballard standing on a cooler, yelling to the top of his lungs for the winners. It was like a blast, man. We had like 800 plus people circling us. It was the wildest thing ever.
Wait, was Thursday the last day?
No, Friday was the last day. Thursday's basically the main day. That's the longest day. That's the inside outside. That's when most people do their giveaways, because a lot of people don't go to Friday, unless you're like flying from somewhere else. But Thursday we took it over. Yeah, Thursday was wild, man. It was next year. Next year we're going to be in that booth again, and we're going to try to give away a mower in addition to all the Yeti stuff next year.
BJ was just sitting in the Skag booth wanking the whole time.
I could smell the barbecue from the cola stand outside. So
Yeah. Well, we had
rats.
Hustler got acquired by Black and Decker, so now Black and Decker, Hustler, Cub Cadet, and DeWalt are all one big company. So that's where they had us paired. We were in that big booth, and it was definitely a little interesting, being in the hottest booth there for sure. But we definitely made it fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, awesome. So I just wanted to ask you a question. Do you know what a whippersnipper is?
So that's just like your weed eater, right? Or weed trimmer over there.
That's it. He's got it.
We've renamed
we
them.
Do. Now, if you look at our group, my Facebook group, which started it all, we're pushing 50,000 members. And I think we have about 2,000 people from Australia in that group.
Oh, nice.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. So we do, and I think on Instagram, we're like 30+ thousand. And I think we have about 1,000 on that of Australia. So we do like, what do you call it, and all sorts of different stuff. And we do some polls and stuff from time to time. It's pretty cool.
I saw Bipper Dipper came up in one of those polls.
Yeah.
That's from this guy right here.
Yeah, well, it originated from an Indian, but
yeah,
because they struggled with, I guess some words. So this dude, this Indian customer one day is trying to get me to whippersnip his property, and he just kept saying, "Can you bipper dipper?" And so it just became a joke. From now on, it's a bipper dipper.
yeah.
That's interesting. But do you have any idea what a Graspukaki is?
No. That video I haven't seen yet.
All right, BJ's going to explain.
I'll have to do a video for you.
BJ's going to explain to you what a Graspukaki is.
So basically, a Graspukaki is when you go to the back of a push mower and you pull the catcher off without turning the machine off, and you don't have a blade brake, and you just get sprayed in the face by grass.
Or if you've got your Catch Pro bagger and you go to empty it somewhere, and all the grass comes out, and then it comes back up in your face, and you get sprayed with grass.
Now, speaking of Catch Pros, the only reason I agreed to this was you were going to send me like a dozen Catch Pros, right? That was like our payment. I was going to hand them out to the children in Baltimore City, as a welcome token. That'd be nice.
I don't mind. It's coming out of his pocket, so.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how much a dozen Catch Pros would cost to send to America?
Wait, I can't even buy shirts from across the ocean. It's literally like $50 shipping for a shirt, and then we have to pay $11.
So are you gonna come? You're gonna come to Expo next year, right?
Look, man, I was supposed to
you can't make any excuses. If you got to divorce the wife, leave the kids, you can always start fresh.
Yeah. So look, it is my mission to come over. I think if I do come over, it's just going to have to be for the show. I originally wanted to bring the kids as well, maybe go to Disneyland, spend half a month over there or whatever. I just don't know how it's going to go. I just have to, it's not really, it's probably more family than business. Business we can do something with the business, we'll be right. But probably orchestrating the family and everything is the biggest thing. So
that's why you just leave the wife and kids there. You come over, we hit Vegas, we go around, we knock off a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
What happens in Kentucky stays in Kentucky. That's what everybody.
Dude, I'm down if we can go back to Nashville. That place was off tap.
I already booked my hotel. The last 2 years in a row, I have stayed at this shithole 10 minutes away that like you can't even walk outside. And I'm used to Baltimore City, and so I was like, you know what? I'm not staying like this again. So I booked downtown Louisville for next year. So I already booked it, and I can walk to everything basically other than the show.
Dude, when I was in Louisville, our place was a full-on crack den. Like, someone had pissed in my cupboard, and you could see the piss up the wall and puddled on the floor. They didn't even bother cleaning it.
I did a podcast on Wednesday night, and my guys from Czech that have like an app similar to like Jobber, and they rented a single family home, and it was like just literally people walking down the street looking at you, and I'm driving my lawn care truck that's loud as shit. And I was like, dude, I was like, is my truck still gonna be here? And he's like, yeah, your truck will, but your wheels probably won't. I was like, thank you, appreciate it.
Oh shit! Yeah, it got pretty like for me, it was. I haven't really seen it. Like here, we don't necessarily have people just like munching out of bins and shit like that, or taking shits in plastic bags. That was pretty
so
wild.
We'll be downtown next year. I'm not sure. I'm trying to get my one buddy, Josh, who you talked to. That's who runs the merchandise store. I played college baseball with him. I'm trying to get him to go because he would be like a lot of fun. He just always makes excuses and can't go out there. You know how it is.
Yeah, well, we were downtown and it was pretty wild, I have to say. Like, I ended up I think it was the Wednesday night. The other boys that I was with just disappeared, and I'd met a few of the Vanguard guys at the booth, and I just saw them and I started talking to them. I ended up out until like 3:30 in the morning, just absolutely just getting obliterated. And I've never been out in public with such a bad hangover.
Yeah.
It was fucking awful. That Thursday
talk about an exciting show for you. I mean, like with all the stuff with DeWalt and like our giveaway, I mean, it was definitely so exciting to be there. We literally left like a few minutes early on Wednesday, and we're all out at some Mexican restaurant with a bunch of podcasters and a couple influencers. And somebody texts me a picture or in a video of that DeWalt, and I was like, "There's no way that that's true." Like, because I represent Mean Green. I work with them a little bit on the side. I work with Gravely on their EV, gave it back. I work with Mean Green a little bit just to kind of understand that market. So people knew that I was like using them and showing them off. So everybody was sending me videos. It was like, you still like the EV stuff? I was like, there's no way that that's true. That is not true. And I texted my Hustler rep and I said, is this true? He's like, unfortunately. I was like, wow.
20 minutes after takeoff, it crashed and burned. But I mean,
it was wild.
It's not the best place to have that happen. But, you know, shit happens. So I'm sure they'll move on. And
well, you know, they say any publicity is good publicity. So, you know, they got to spin it. We had a giveaway set up for Thursday. And, you know, we had like 5 Yeti coolers and all sorts of stuff, keychains, you name it. We gave away like $7,000 worth of stuff inside the Hustler DeWalt booth. And I was like, hey, hear me out. I said, can we give away like a commercial fire extinguisher? Like we'll put it on the table. We'll kind of lighten up the mood. And they didn't like that at all. You know, but that would have for sure.
So before we do get into some of the lawn care stuff, I just was going to ask, do you know anything else? Like, do you know anything about Aussie sports, or like what's the best band to come out of Australia? Do you know anything like that?
Nothing. I mean, you guys are just kind of like a neutral party to us. I feel like I said, you don't really hear bad stuff other than the bugs and spiders. But I don't really hear anything negative too much.
What about AC/DC, man? AC/DC is Australian.
No way.
See, I told you. Google it.
ACD is American.
Well, they were formed in Sydney, so.
No, yeah, but we claim them. We definitely claim them.
No, they're dead set Australian. So.
Sorry to break it to you.
No way.
He's not going to believe us.
You got to let us have something.
Now, what about is Thor Australian?
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Hot. He only lives a couple of hours away from here.
I get, a lot of times when I'm out cutting and I take my shirt off, like a lot of the people think I am him, so I get that a lot.
Wait, I get the same thing. It's it's hard. It's hard.
It happens. It happens.
So you said, so are you in Baltimore or?
So I was born in Baltimore, and we lived in Baltimore till like 4th grade, and then we moved about 30 minutes north up in like the country, you could say, like acreage and property.
Did you know Tupac Shakur?
I did. We went to middle school together. We still talk. I mean, he's not dead. You guys know that, right?
I don't know if you can see this. I actually have Thug Life tattooed on me.
I did not.
Now, I think we're like the same age, right? I'm 36.
I'm 36.
I'm like
he's
Yeah,
like
so-
48.
48.
Nah, he's not. How old are you?
I'm 38.
He's 38.
Now I post a lot of memes and obviously like the SWO stuff. Like, did you grow up watching all that stuff as well? Like, that's all we.
Only because of him. I didn't have Fox or anything like that. And then I met Ben. He was laying in his bed, just got his appendix out when I met him. And he's like, yeah, I want to watch wrestling. So, yeah.
I tell you, see, that's the thing about Australia. Like, when we were sort of, I don't know, I guess in the late 90s and stuff, if you had cable TV, you were considered like rich. Like it wasn't like a household thing. So like all of like the wrestling and, you know, some of the mad sports and stuff, like we couldn't access it unless, you know, you had, like, it's not on network television here and stuff like that. But that was one of the things that, it's funny, you posted the Sony game Driver the other day, yesterday or today or whatever day it is, wherever we are. And yeah, it was just making me think, like, I must be so much like you.
Dude, that game was like that, and N64 GoldenEye is like my whole childhood. And Driver, when my son's 15, and when he was like 5, I went out, we had like a retro store, and I bought PS1 and Driver and PS2 and Driver 2 just so he could play it. And it was like, I'm telling you, if you can get one and sit down and play it, and it will just like be the best day ever. It's so much fun.
I remember me and one of my friends used to play Red Alert. Do you remember that game? It was like and we used to get the link cable, so we'd get 2 TVs and back to back them, and then we'd just like play against each other.
That's why I like mixing up. I do a lot of retro stuff. I mean, like a lot of the stuff is like wrestling memes because I feel like a lot of the guys that follow me are pretty similar with the same stuff. I actually went when I was probably, I don't know, maybe like 12, 13, when Hulk Hogan first turned to the NWO, okay, which was like the biggest thing that ever hit America. I went to a Hollywood Hulk Hogan versus Sting steel cage match in Baltimore City. It was like the coolest thing ever.
Well, I need to tell you something, bro. So maybe about 10 or maybe 15 years ago, Hulk wrestled Ric Flair in Brisbane, where we live.
Wow.
And it was the biggest piece of shit that I've ever seen in my life.
Well, what were they, like 50 years old?
I'd say older.
It was just like, it was a tour that, like, it wasn't a WWE tour. It wasn't a TNA tour either, but it was just, I think it was like a Hulk tour. And they had maybe no one else with any credibility. I think Jeff Hardy was there. But it was like, it was in an arena that seats like 50,000 people, and there was dead set like 1,000 people there. And it was just like, I felt so bad for him. People were yelling out like, "You fucking suck," and just and I was sitting there as like this mad wrestling fan with like my wife and some buddies and everything, and they're all just looking at me like, "What the fuck is this?"
I was not.
Yeah, over here, that was like the best stuff ever. I feel like my generation had the best wrestling ever.
Well, so not only did our generation have that, but you think like Michael Jordan, Tony Hawk, Kelly Slater, like it was just that era, man. It was just fucking.
And Griffey Jr., man, my whole life has been like number 24 because of him. Everything I do, like on my truck, I got unit 24. On every mower, I have unit 24. Like everything's 24 from Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah. When you were sort of coming up, what sort of, like, I guess when you left school, what was your main, what was your first job? What was your first line of work?
So like my big thing is like I wanted to be a professional baseball player. And I only went to college to play baseball, and I was right about to, go everywhere I wanted to go. I was throwing 95 miles per hour, and I tore my shoulder. And after that, like, kind of didn't want to do anything. I went from knowing every baseball player on every team and like literally dedicating my life to baseball to like not even wanting to watch a game. Um, so when I got out of that, I just kind of I sold cars for 2 months, set like a record, and then hated it. And then one of the guys I sold cars to worked for Hilti Power Tools. And he's like, "Hey man, like you're really cool. If you ever want a job, I can walk you in. It's a Fortune 500 company." He got me right in the Hilti. They sent me to Tulsa, Oklahoma for 30 days for training, which was like one of the funnest times ever. And I stayed with them for about 2 years. And they kind of do this whole kumbaya, like you're never going to leave the company. It's a Fortune 500 company. And then they call you in 2 years later and like just cut down the whole base market that I worked in, like just took a huge dump. And I remember calling my dad. I was like, "Hey, they're sending us to the Marriott and they're giving us breakfast." He's like, "Oh, wow, nice." And I said, "Yeah." So they were just talking about some stuff, and they're going to call us in and start giving us some severance packages. So I said, "I think I'm getting like a bonus or something." I was like 23, 24 years old. He's like, "No, bro, you're getting fired." And I was like, "Oh, man."
Oh no.
So that kind of sucked. And then just kind of spinning off sales job. And then I got into be a pawnbroker when I was like 25 and in Baltimore City, like a real bad spot in the city. And was a pawnbroker for like 12 plus years now. And I've always done my lawn care on the side as like a serious side hustle, about 8 years now.
What's the
So,
craziest shit someone's brought in?
man, like where we are at, like when you hear like deadliest city in the country, like per capita, we're always competing with like Detroit. And where I was at in Baltimore was like a tough spot. So we carry a gun every day, everywhere we go. And it was a pretty crazy job. And we took in like some Ming Dynasty vases that the guy claimed, you don't really know if it's real or not. But he brought it in some like extreme maxi pads wrapped up to keep it safe. So that was a little interesting deal. But
So
just
do
the
you
normal stuff.
do you do you pack heat when you're cutting grass then?
No, so I have a permit, and it's funny. Like in Maryland, they're one of the few states that makes it very hard to get a carry permit. Out of all the 50 states, Maryland's probably top three worst states to try to get one. Like 1/3 of 1% of Maryland would actually have a legal carry permit.
Okay.
And I've carried for 12 years. And now they just recently changed it. So now self defense is the only thing you need to claim to get a permit. So Maryland's going crazy right now. Like they're probably going to jump to 15, 20%. They're going to go from 1/3 of 1% of the state to probably 20% in a year that will be getting a permit. They're making so much money right now in the state of Maryland with all these fees and testing and classes that you have to take. But where I cut is up in the country, so it's pretty safe. Like I don't lock my gear up. I don't have locking racks. I keep my gun on my truck, but I don't like wear it while I'm cutting.
Because I saw on like the lawn care mafia page, I don't even know if that page is still around anymore, but I saw, like, and it's amazing to people like Australians because like we have guns here, but you certainly cannot, like our laws, if you own a firearm, it has to be bolted, it has to be stored inside like a safe that has to be bolted to the ground and can't be loaded, no nothing
Now,
like.
what about like if you wanted to get like a carry permit? Do they even exist over there? Or no, like
There is
you
no
couldn't
such.
carry a Glock to the store.
I think
Fuck
for
no.
security and stuff like that, you can, but that's it. It's just
But you
Uh,
can't even like apply for a permit and do training or different stuff. It's like,
yeah, you can do that. So you can. We have like shooting ranges and so all of that stuff is, but like I can't just if I got a permit, I would not be able to carry my gun anywhere. And if I was transporting it, it has to be nowhere near ammunition and in a locked safe that is bolted to something. So that the basic theory is like if you're driving down the road, someone gives you the finger, you can't just fucking pull out your gun and wax them.
yeah,
yeah,
that's
even with
how, that's
handguns, they
how
have to all be broken down. They have
that's
to
how
if
Maryland would be. You got to transport it separately. Maryland's biggest thing was the only way you could get a permit was as a business owner. So if you had, your LLC and a bank account and you showed that you're making deposits and you drive around, like a lawn care truck with $100,000 worth of stuff, they would let you get it that way if you did 16 hours of training and qualified with shooting and all sorts of different, stuff like that. But now you can just say self-defense and you get one.
Okay,
So it's going to be pretty wild. It's going
BJ just realized we were fucking recording.
Did you hear it?
Well, look, at my first podcast out at Kentucky, we did an hour. And when I tell you we were having the best time ever, laughing, joke, we had like the best podcast. And then at the very end, his marketing guy's like, guys, I didn't hit fucking record. And we're like, holy shit.
Dude, he just said to me, he goes, I'm so glad you're here. I'm like, because I was fucking around with other stuff. He's like, I'm so glad you're here. And I was just like, oh, fuck, man, I missed a step. I'm supposed to be the tech guy. I got no idea, dude. We still shoot this whole podcast. Like, people are reaching out to us being like, oh, what gear do you need? We literally use my phone. Today, we're on a computer for the Zoom chat, but normally we're on my phone with a microphone. And that's all we use. Like,
I have so many people, because the platform's been growing a lot. It's been a lot of fun the last 5+ years, and everybody wants me to do a YouTube and do like informative stuff, how to stripe, how to mow, and you really need like a helper. And I've been trying like hell to find a helper to help me do stuff. So I think maybe next year the goal is to get a YouTube going so I can start competing with some of these other influencer gods and try to.
Some of the camera rigs I saw, like the guys are literally wearing like full harnesses with their cameras, like walking around.
A lot of the guys are pretty bougie, and I try to be real. Like I'm built and peak male performance is my body shape, and a lot of these guys are pretty thin, and they don't really represent the real guy out there.
Nah, they're super cute.
I think if we bring a YouTube together. I can get those TikTok pants and some tank tops and stuff, and I think we can really get some good numbers.
That'd be awesome. Do that.
You had mentioned before that. So is cutting grass like a side hustle for you then?
Yeah. So like after a bunch of little odd and end different sales jobs, and like I told you, like Hilti shut down and fired me when I thought I was getting a bonus. I found a home pawnbroking, and I was making really good money compared to like all my friends with 4-year degrees and school loans. I was making twice as much money as I'm being a pawnbroker carrying a gun in the city. And I had a good home for a while. I finally left there this year after about 12 years, but I started Stripe Life at the pawn shop. I was cutting on the side a couple yards a week just to make a little extra money. And I wanted to find out like hey, what blades are better? What parts are better? I'm all for like, I'm a car guy. I've had 33 vehicles in my life. And I'm always looking for a better product to make my life easier. So I would go in these lawn care groups and they, hey guys, what's the best blades to stripe with? And these guys would be like, what the fuck's a stripe? Who calls it a stripe? And I'd get like attacked. So I told my buddy at the pawn shop, I said, you know what? I'm going to create a group that actually helps people and it's going to be fun. And then flash forward, now we're almost 50,000 this month. And it's very pro oriented. I call it, we have pros and serious Joes. So even the guys that aren't pros are like the number 1 yard on their block and they're running all pro equipment. So that's a big thing. So it's been a serious side hustle, more so the past 5 years. I'd get up to about 15 solo accounts as a part-time. That's a lot. You know what I mean? Like, and just in 15 accounts, you damn near make a good, weekly wage that you can live off of.
And what's the average size property that you're cutting?
Most of the accounts that I cut are 1/3 to half acre.
Okay.
And that's like a sweet spot. And obviously, like route density, you get a neighborhood where you cut 13, you drop the deck once and everything's great. But just, the goal was to quit my job after my Christmas bonus this year and then heavy advertise early next year and then pick up 30, 40 solo accounts and I'd be set. Well, stuff hit the fan and I just needed to escape. So I left in June, which is like not everybody's already established. They already got their guy, whether they like him or not, they usually stick with them through the summer. So it's very hard to market. So I kind of just took on, some cleanup jobs, and taking on cleanup jobs in the middle of the summer when you're 270 pounds sucks, but I was doing a lot more things that I didn't usually do just to kind of keep money rolling in. And it was definitely a year, you know what I mean? For
I
sure.
mean, that's how, like BJ and I are always getting asked for advice. How can I make more money? How can I do this? I can't afford, the right equipment. And, a lot of the time we go back to saying like, just do what you got to do to get through, So, I mean, if you got to clean toilets or if you got to hand
See,
weed,
I think my problem is that I'm the youngest kid. Like I said, I've had 33 vehicles in my life. Um, I'm a brand whore, is what they would call it, I guess. Like I like Rolexes and you name it. Like I gotta have the best shit. It's in my blood. I don't know why. You can't blame me for it. But
that's
when
why
you
you use
take
the
away,
Cash Pro, right?
yeah, I mean, of course, Catch Pro, Hustlers, I only use the best of the best. But when you take away a lot of that stuff, you realize just how little you need to get by, each week. So when you stop blowing money, you only got to cut so many yards a week to still pay all your bills. You're just not doing as much fancy shit. You're not going on fancy vacations and doing stuff, but you're watching Law and Order at the end of the day on the same sofa, whether you're rich or poor. So it really don't change.
And in terms of like, so do you do weekly cuts in the summertime?
Yeah, so I only offer weekly. When I went out on my own full time and needed money, I started picking up a couple bi-weeklies and I hated it. Like I hate bi-weeklies, man. Now obviously, like this year, I think maybe 1 or 2 weeks I skipped and I make that call. I tell my customers, look, if I show up and it's been hot and it didn't grow, I'm not gonna run on your yard. I'm not desperate for money. So I think we had two skips all year this year. It was a pretty even. Maryland got a good amount of rain when other places had droughts. But I like to offer weekly service because with weekly service, that yard looks good all week long,
Yeah.
and that's my name. That's my company's business card on that property. So I don't offer biweekly anymore. I don't care what they pay me. I'm not doing it.
And so do you guys have to do the whippersnipping every service? Because
So
in Australia, right, we kind of have like what we see on YouTube and what we see on social media, it makes it like the lawn care world, it looks like this fucking mad glamorous life where you guys just roll up on a zero turn and you're fucking cutting this much grass and it's like mild temperatures, green grass stripes. And dude, over here, it is like usually you have at least 15 flies that just want to fuck your face all day long.
We've got little blowflies that try and fuck the corner of your mouth. Like they're just literally forcing their way in.
And the sun is so intense that it feels like someone is like scratching you.
is it like dry like Vegas though over there? Is it
Nah,
humid?
it's humid.
It's humid as hell, bro.
Why are you there? Like
Lots
it's
of days.
horrible.
Because we have the Gold Coast at one end and the Sunshine Coast at the other. We're like right in smack bang in the middle of like, it's a beautiful coastline.
So realistically, the humidity and the summer months, like it'll be we complain about it and we say it's horrible and stuff like that. But as soon as it gets 5 degrees cooler, we're just like we're putting socks on and like we're really,
See,
really
like
climatized.
after going to the expo this year, like I met Corey last year and it was cool. He came over. I had a table set up in the Hustler booth and we just gave away keychains and met, people that followed us and it was a lot of fun. This past year, a few months ago, like it was wild, man, like 1,000+ people and all the giveaways and Corey there. So after having Corey stand up on the cooler next to me, I was like, you know what? Fuck this, man. I'm getting a treadmill. I'm tired of like lifting weights. I'm just gonna get laser fucking cut so I can wear like a schmedium and have my biceps and tattoos showing. And come next year, I'm gonna shock the fucking lawn care world and I'm gonna look sexy as hell. So I go out and I get this treadmill. I've been doing this son of a bitch 5 to 6 times a week, and I gained like 10 pounds in the first 3 weeks.
Okay, so I got a good story for you from Louisville. We came in a day early and we rolled into, the underground caverns.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we went there for some zip lining. So, you know how you said you were 270 before? Wow, don't go there. So I walked in there and I had these two skinny boys with me, and they jumped on the scales first. And then I jumped on the scales, and no shit, this lady looked at me like, what the fuck? She actually came around the counter to see if there was someone else with a foot on the scales.
How
And
much
she's
do you
like,
weigh?
apparently 350. So she bounced. She went and spoke to the manager and then came back and she's like, I'm so sorry, sir.
You
You
can't
can't
do
go. He's like, nah. And the guy that I was with, he goes, you fat cunt. Right in front of this lady. She was just like, what? And I was like, oh, seriously? So I had to go on like a kiddie ride around, just driving around inside the caverns while I could hear them cruising through on the zip line, being like, this is so fun, BJ. I was like, oh my God. And then,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm trying to make my life easier for next year. So I said, you know what? Like, I'm gonna try to look just as good as Corey. I mean, that guy, like, it's funny you do all this business with Corey. And when I think of you, I always tell my wife, I'm like, yeah, I'm talking to the Australian Corey Ballard tonight because the products and the way you guys have the store, it's very similar setups. But like, I'm trying to make my life easier out there. Like, it's the trimming that sucks. My trimmer guy fucking sucks. He whines, he complains. But being solo, you really can't do a whole lot about it. But I was like, I'm gonna just get laser chiseled. I'm gonna get cut, lose some weight. It'll be easier to trim, and then hopefully next year's easier for me. I can even do maybe 20 accounts in a day solo. But it's not. I'm not gonna lie. It's not going well right now.
Do you reckon Corey Ballard would let BJ snort a line of cocaine off his washboard abs?
Dude, so Corey is literally like he's surreal. When you see him at the expo, it's like Tom Cruise walking around, man. People are starstruck around him, taking pictures, videos. And I'll tell you one thing I like about Corey. I had a couple people come up to me when I was in that booth. Probably I don't know. We probably talked to 1,500 people that day, came up to the table and got stuff. And half of it were people that knew who I was, and half of it was people just wanted to win a Yeti and a free keychain and stuff. And a lot of the people would come up and ask me if I'd take a picture with them or sign. I actually signed some keychains, which I thought was pretty cool. I was bragging to people about that. But a lot of these people that follow you, they just want to see if you're real. Are you nice? Are you real? Will you take the picture with me? Will you talk to me? Are you an asshole in real life? And something about Corey, that guy makes a ton of money, right? And everybody knows how successful the guy is and where he came from. But he talks to every person that says something to him. He shakes their hand. He takes a picture. He gives you keychains or whatever he's giving out. We gave out probably 1,000 of his lanyards, but he takes the time and is super real with everybody. And that's I think what makes him so successful over here is that you see some guys, like even myself, I follow a ton of people, and I wanted to go meet the influencers that I follow. And I talked to them online, and I won't say who it is, but I went to one guy who I talked to online who I wanted to finally meet him. And it's like, I don't know if he didn't know who I was or what, but literally never even made eye contact as we were talking. And I finally just was like, you know what, fuck it, and walked away. But a lot of people are fake, and that's what you got to try to look for in this industry is who's real, who can help you out. But one thing about Corey is that guy takes that minute and talks to everybody that wants to talk to him, and I think that that's awesome.
nice. I didn't even give Paul Jameson a chance to get away. I was his
Yeah.
first interview of the whole thing. I just saw him. I'm like, oh, that's Paul Jameson. So I just walked straight up to him. Didn't even notice the two camera guys. I was like, hey, Paul Jameson. And he's like, oh.
And he actually says, he goes, like, BJ's like, yeah, no, I'm from Australia. And he didn't believe him.
He's like,
really?
Really? I'm like, yeah, dude. He goes, nah, you're putting on an accent. I'm like, nah. And no joke, on the second day that we went there, when I was like absolutely minced, like 10 out of 10 hungover, he was walking and we kind of like met and I was like, hey man, you want another interview? And he's like, okay. That one never made the cut. That one was like, I was
It's definitely interesting seeing all the people that you follow, whether on Facebook or TikTok or whatever. Like that lawn dude, I don't know if you guys follow him. He's
Yeah, he
from Kentucky.
follows us, I think.
Does he?
I mean,
Yeah.
he's pushing like 1 million people
Holy
on
shit.
TikTok, and he's got like 100+ thousand on Instagram. He's from Louisville, Kentucky. I met him not the last show, but the show prior, and he came up to me when I was in the Hustler booth. That guy's one of the realest, coolest guys ever. He's one of the, I would say, best lawn care influencers. Like he's professional. He's very down to earth. That guy is awesome. So he's another cool guy to meet. We were going to do our giveaways at like 3 o'clock on the main day Thursday, but Brian's lawn maintenance had like some kind of show, so we didn't want to compete with that. So we pushed it to 4 o'clock, which was right near the end of the show, which actually probably helped us out. So once his show got out, a bunch of people came over, and we had a really crazy turnout on our giveaway event, which was really cool.
I can't believe how many people were like blinging in all their like work clothes and stuff. I just rocked up in like, I don't know, like a shirt. I didn't even wear a jumper or anything.
Yeah,
We
like
went
Thursday.
outside.
Thursday, I even wore the SWO, and then like when the turnout was so crazy, I was like, "Son of a bitch, man!" I was like, "Somebody's gonna see this, and I'm probably finally gonna get sued by the NWO." But I was like, "This hoodie looks good," you know.
I did catch up with Matthew Hawke. I don't know if you know Matthew Hawke. He does a lot of work. He did like the Cujo and Skag collaboration shoes.
Yeah.
I know he's posted a few times on Stripe Life. He's on Skag Nation all the
Well,
time.
Sean, so we got Sean to sponsor and give us a Roadie 24 cooler, and he came over. So we had Corey Ballard probably announced like 6 of the 15 giveaways we had. We had Sean from Cujo stood up on the cooler and gave away probably 3 or 4, and then Matt from Czech, the app company, he did a couple as well. He's a really fun, cool guy as well. So we had a couple of like the bigger name people, like Corey and Sean are two pretty big people in the industry, and it just made the event so much fun. Like the Bobcat giveaway, everybody lines up, they call one name, it's over. It's 15 seconds long.
Yeah.
Ours was like 30-40 minutes, and it was like a whole thing, man. It was great. And next year it's not 100% confirmed, but I'm not going there if we're not giving away a mower as well. So we're going to give away a Hustler mower if I got to pay for it myself.
Something that I wanted to know, and it's not specific to the lawn care industry, and I'm also not trying to be controversial, but it just seems like from like say being in Australia, is like America very like religious, or is it just that? Because like I always see some of the people that I follow, I was just like amazed at like, some of the, I guess, religious things that get said and stuff like that. And it just blew my mind. Like I'm not against it or anything, but is it really that common? Or
I would say that it's pretty religious. Probably more so, more religious than less religious. My biggest thing was I always wanted Stripe Life to grow as a business. So I didn't want it to be like Ken Morris Lawn Care and Ken Morris the influencer. I wanted like Stripe Life to be a place where everybody could go, everybody could, use to help them. So I always wanted to keep like religion and politics out of it. And like in our group, I've got like my whole college baseball team that helps me moderate it. So we try to really stay out of it as much as I can. I mean, sometimes I'll get like a nice TikTok and I might get slightly religious in it, but not often. But I like to just try to keep it more business. Like whatever you want to believe, whatever you want to do is fine with me. We just try to keep it on point, but it's definitely, I would say, pretty religious over here.
yeah, okay, because we kind of got slammed, not like not massively slammed, but a few people reached out and they're like, oh, it'd be good if you, because we're completely uncensored. And a few people were like, oh, we don't mind watching the show, but it gets a little heavy for us, rah, rah, rah. And it was, I mean, it's not that common here.
No.
Right? It's not that common. So, But I just noticed over there, it just seemed like a lot of the key influences were. It's not like they're pushing an agenda. I don't get any of that, but it just amazed me how common it was, and I just didn't know. Is it actually like that? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I mean, it gets pretty religious. I mean, I just think our big thing is we try really hard to like in the group, like in prime time and during season, we'll get 300 plus to 500 posts a day try to get through. And we have what's called post approvals on. So if it doesn't meet what the group is about, our guys will decline the post or block the person. And we let like religious stuff go through or, inspirational video go through to a degree. We try to keep it as neutral as possible. Um, but it's definitely over here. I mean, without God, we wouldn't have our Glocks. So
And is there any Stripe Life beef with like any other pages?
Because we know Corey's got his haters, Brian's got his hate, like everyone's got their haters.
And I tell you what, like now, so we were getting over with our audience pretty good. Whether it's the Skull Sessions, whether it's the Bearded Lawnsman, whether it's Cash Pro, like we were doing all right. But fuck me, all of a sudden.
We're getting like blocked and banned from groups and shit like that.
Yeah, I mean, like, so my group we're right at 50,000, and we probably have, it won't tell me a number, but I'm going to say 5 to 10,000 people on the block list because, like, we just don't fuck around. Like, we keep it clean, we keep it on point or keep it moving. And my dad was blocking people for saying shit back in the day because they're like, hey, we want to keep it clean. And somebody would be like, hey, man, those stripes are the shit. Those things are awesome. My dad would block them. I was like, bro, you're killing me here. Like, I can't grow if you're blocking everybody. Like, take it in the context, relax. So we had to like take away his moderating power for a little while. He didn't like it. But I mean, definitely have a ton of haters. It's just one of those things like in the beginning, coming up, and then once you spend a lot of time and grow a page, a lot of brands want to work with you. Hey, we're going to send you this mower. We're going to send you this. We're going to send you that. And it used to be like, all right, I want to get a mower from everybody. I want a Skag, a Ferris, a Hustler, a Gravely. I want everything. And then you get to a point where you realize that you're building like your name and your brand, not just taking money from everybody or free products from everybody. So then I really started going after, look, what's the best thing that I want to use? And then that's all I'm going after. So I've been pretty exclusive with Hustler on gas mowers lately, and I'm probably going to stick with them for the next few years. And that Trimstar controls are the best for me. That hyperdrive is like driving a F-150 around these people's yards. So when it comes to that, like you get to a point where you just want to use like what you honestly think is the best and stay honest to people. Because if I had $1 for every time somebody tried to offer me something for free, I could probably have a Tesla or an Escalade or all these fancy things. But I really try to not just be bought and paid for and remain real. And it's not easy.
That's it. Yeah. Well, I don't personally love Hustler as much as you, but I love my Skags. So that's the same sort of thing.
Honest, like I think Skag, I had a Skag before I got into my Hustlers. I bought a brand new SWZT36 because when I thought, and from my group and all my stuff and all my history of looking into stuff, I wanted the best striping walk behind in the game. And Skag is what everybody and their brother tells you. So I bought the best SWZT36 money could buy, and it striped and cut great. I just hated those controls. Like it killed my traps, killed my arms. And I was like, bro, if I got to use this all day, I'm not going to do lawn care. And my buddy had a Trimstar. He's like, come try this out. And it was like night and day difference how much easier it was to control. Now, after running like X1s and hyperdrives, I mean, I'd put that hyperdrive against any Skag as far as cut quality, dependability. So I think Hustler and Skag are right there, next to each other as top quality mowers. And it's, an honest thing to be able to say. When it comes to the walk behind, it's just completely different controls.
With the Trimstar, is it like a direct drive or is it like a zero turn? Like it's stationary until you, because we don't have any walk behinds in Australia. Never
So
have.
the trim star is like, you know, a dirt bike handlebar. And when you twist the grips forward, it goes forward. When
Okay.
you twist it, you get to a point where you're like in neutral. Then you twist it back to go back. And you literally just turn that bar smooth as butter to go left or right.
Because
Where on the Skag,
the other brand walk behinds, aren't they like you put it into drive and it fucking goes?
well, yeah, you have like pistol grips, like where you squeeze right to go right, left to go left. So the whole time, if you want to go straight, you're just sitting there finger banging those controls until your arms and traps are just shot. If you do that for a couple hours, you're done. Meanwhile, the trim star, I got that little pro slide sulky, and I'm just simply turning. The guy came out when he dropped it off. I said, "You gonna go over this at all?" He's like, "If you can push a shopping cart, you can use a trim star." I was like, "Okay." And like that's what's cool is you can get a new person on that thing in 60 seconds, or you can have your wife run that thing. Like I have my wife running around when I make some videos and stuff, and it's so easy to operate. And that's what first got me over to Hustler. Then I started growing my platform, and Hustler was like, "Hey, let us help you out." I got the X1, and it was amazing. Stripe great, cut great, and then I got the hyperdrive. So the hyperdrive is like, legit. So I definitely am happy with everything. Hustler, the marketing guy, is really cool. I mean, he gets me inside the booth at those shows, which is like awesome. It really
And
helps us grow.
what heights are you guys typically cutting at in your market?
So in Maryland, where I'm at, everything's tall fescue, and I kind of cherry pick my accounts. If the people don't take care of their flower beds and care about the lawn, I'm probably not going to take you. So most of the accounts I take are, top of the line, tall fescue. They pay for treatment, they pay for, fertilizer, they have irrigation. So I'm putting diamonds on these things, and it looks like a ballpark every yard I touch. And it's
Yep.
usually I'd say 3.5 to 4.25 is kind of the average.
Because like we can't stripe in Australia, right?
Yeah.
Maybe down south or in Tasmania, they would have better luck than what we're sort of. I mean, we're central in terms of north and south, but we are cutting like I cut mine at 2.5 inches, and
Jeez,
it's not even low enough. Like I need to cut it lower.
that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Pretty much all our accounts, it's between 2 and 2.5.
Inches. So
When you're cutting that stuff without the stripes, it's hard to even see what the hell you just cut last.
Oh, well, the way our stuff grows, it's like we're still taking like 3 inches off
yeah,
on a bi-weekly account. Maybe
Jeez.
more. Maybe
Yeah.
more actually.
so we would be taking off. Like the rule is supposed to be that you shouldn't take off more than a third of the leaf,
Yeah.
and we would be consistently doing that.
Yeah.
Like consistently. Just quickly, I wanted to get into some of the other aspects of like what we do. So in Australia, there is just tons of gardening, hedge trimming, weeding, cleaning out gardens, and we have to do that shit all year round. Is that something that you guys I mean, even if you don't
Where
offer
I'm
that,
at, where I'm at, it's not as much. I mean, if you're lucky, you get like a spring cleanup and you can hedge trim everything, and then you get like a fall cleanup. I mean, if you can get 3 cleanups and like hedge cleanups a year from some of these people, it's a lot. And it's always
so
the people with money like don't want to spend it. So it's more so just how many yards can you stack on an account. In my area, is what I go after.
we have like probably 70 to 80% of lawn care businesses, they will probably have 80% of their work is just hedge trimming.
Jeez,
Yeah.
Like you can imagine, like, so I had a site, BJ runs the site now, but it's 12 acres, and everywhere you look, there is a fucking hedge. Literally,
now,
like,
like for you, right? So with Corey, I don't really. If somebody said who's Corey's competitor in the country, like I don't really see a guy or like a small company or anything that really is like Corey's competitor. Like that's the thing. Like he just kind of dominates selling these products. Like so you have a very similar setup. So who do you have a competitor? Is there a guy that's bigger than you with selling these products?
No. There is there is a distributor for Green Touch racks.
Yeah.
They're not huge. It's not their main business. There's geez, mate, there's really nothing else.
Not
There?
really.
There's no one else doing the products that we do. See, we were lucky. We've got exclusivity with Equipment Defender, dry wraps, and obviously Ballard equipment. So it's the thing about our market is it's not a huge market. There would be potentially room for another player, but it look, if I had advice for anyone out there that was looking to do something like me, I would say don't do it unless you have at least $50,000 to invest. Because it just wouldn't be worth building it up. Like and I'm not saying that as like to, hey, stay away from my market. It's just that, like, for me, it almost wiped us out. And it just wasn't, the market is just not big enough here. So our market is like 20 times smaller than the American market.
Did you see? So Corey's got his brand new website up.
Yeah, I don't really love it.
I mean, I think it just goes smooth. I didn't think the other one like wasn't smooth or gave me issues, but I put an order through already the other day. But I've been working on a couple products with Corey, and we talked in the past about it. So the one's going to hit here in like a week, so I'm pretty excited.
And is that like a flashlight for a stand-on mower?
Yes.
So I think I'm still not supposed to talk about it too much, but this is going to be an inexpensive product that anybody that has a zero turn will buy. I mean, it's only going to make your life easier and more comfortable. And I think after the first batch, we might make it a little bit more stylish, but it's going to be a product that everyone that has a zero turn should buy it so I can get a couple Porsches for me and my boys. Um,
And
but it's just,
are you gonna give Catch Pro exclusivity in Australia and New Zealand for
oh
the
yeah, of
product?
course, of course.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things. Like as you get older, like I'm 36, probably in the shape of a 65-year-old man. Almost my whole life has been like that. But you start looking for things that will make your life easier, make the job easier. And the one, it's a little baby product, but I think it's just one of those things that's just going to make, your day a little bit easier. If you chose that, if you could have it during your day or not have it, it's going to make your life obviously easier. And it's like 15 to 20 bucks. So it's like nothing.
So
Nice.
with this product that you have coming out, was it something that you co-did with Ballard, or is it something that you formulated yourself?
So if with anything in life, it's all about who you know. So like for a year and a half, I tried calling everybody and their brother to get this little product a reality, and like I just couldn't do it. Like no matter who I called, and like you can only inform so many people about it because you're worried somebody will go steal your idea. So it was very difficult because they're like, "Oh, well, what do you need help with?" It's like, "Oh, if I tell you, I got to kill you." So I've already been like a brand ambassador with Corey. I know he's the product king. So I took it to Corey and I said, "Hey, Corey, I got this little cheap product. I'd really like your help getting it to market. We can work out all the details." And he said he just had a lot of stuff going on, which is true. So when I quit my job, I was like, "Hey, how you think you are with this product?" And he said, "You know what? I think I got some time for it." So Corey, knows everybody with the product, so he was able to make it a reality and get the damn thing prototyped and out. And so it should be on his new website in like a week or two. And again, it's not something crazy, but it's just something that makes sense. And I think he's going to sell the shit out of them, which is going to be pretty cool.
I mean, he does that with basically every other product.
I
So
mean, and what's funny is like I don't understand how people can say negative stuff about it. And then they talk about prices of this. Like he's usually cheaper. If I go and buy it from Corey and I use a 10% off code, it's usually cheaper than Amazon. So I don't know how people complain about it. People just don't like success. They don't like you when you're poor. They don't like you when you're in the middle, and they hate you when you're on top. So it's a lose lose no matter what you do. But like we said before, if you actually met the guy at the show, he talks to everybody. He gives everybody the same respect. And that's why I like being a brand ambassador. Like I don't really like saying like use this code Stripe Life 10. Like it just kind of bugs me, but I literally use all of his products. I stand behind his products. I put his blades on my mowers. It's all on how you take care of stuff. If you put a lawnmower blade on, you're running over walnuts or sand and you run over everything like you don't own the mower and pay for the service, it's only going to do so good. But like we were saying before, I just don't see that he competes with anybody. And now he's got a better, bigger website. He's building a bigger building. The guy's like unstoppable. You know what I mean?
It's funny. Someone from Canada reached out to me and said, "Hey, do you ship to Canada?" And I said, "Look, that probably won't work because they'd pay so much for it. Reach out to Ballard." And then Corey comes back to me and he goes, no, "We're actually gonna not ship there anymore."
Yeah.
And he's like, with customs and everything, it's too hard, and it's not worth the 300,000 a year in sales. And I was just like, I'll fucking do anything for an extra 300,000 in sales.
Yeah. There's not a lot of stuff I wouldn't do for $300,000 myself.
And he just wipes it off like it's a full mad hassle, and I'm just like, I will fucking do anything for that. Yeah.
It's actually a shorter list of what you wouldn't do for $300,000.
Yeah. So with the heights that you're cutting at, and the regularity and stuff, like obviously we know you do weekly cuts, but how many months of the year does that last for?
So we start usually in April. So you got April, May, June. I mean, 7 strong months of weekly cuts. And then, you might get like this year we got, I think I did,
Mate, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
I didn't
I
realize.
think I did 2 of the 4 or 5 weeks in November this year. It was weird. Like it's almost the first week in November. It was like 40 degrees and freezing. So like everyone's like, oh, we're done. Global warming. It's a little cooler this year, earlier, faster. And then it was like December. It was like 55, 60 degrees. So I was like, damn, do I have to go back out? I already got all my shit put away. So usually 7 consistent months. And then you get like, a month or so that is a little odd or different every year.
It's crazy over here because we don't have an off season. So in winter, we will most people will do monthly cuts. But say for example,
how cold does it get in your winter?
So
Not that cold.
So where we are, your average day would be around 16 degrees, which your temperature, I think, is about 45, 50 maybe.
So that's like your coldest.
That
Do
would
you
be
ever get snow?
Down south it does.
Yeah.
Not where we are. So you get snow, but only in the mountains.
I think it snowed in Brisbane once, but it technically didn't reach the ground. They only saw it in one of the high rises.
Now, do you guys have casinos over there?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like a good one-armed bandit, every once in a while.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I'm not. We've got like a awesome casino at the Gold Coast, and I went away. Like my wife and I, we typically don't get away and stuff, but we went away. It was my birthday. We booked a room, and there was no balcony, so I couldn't have a ciggy. You had to go fucking downstairs outside. And I said to the missus, I was like, fucking upgrade the room or I'm not staying here. We upgraded the room and we went down, had dinner. We were playing we call them pokie machines, you call them slots or whatever. And like we never do it right. So I was sitting there, and my wife, she like has never done it. I had to teach her how to play it. Next thing, it's fucking bing, 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 bing. And she was just scraping up all night long. So it was awesome. We paid for the room upgrade, paid for dinner, everything like that. But generally, I don't get amongst it. Like you would probably play on the tables and stuff, wouldn't you?
No, not really. No,
I'm not.
No, I'm not.
Maryland didn't used to have any in the state, and then like in a matter of like 5 years, there's like 6 gigantic casinos, and you're just like surrounded by them.
Yeah.
I don't know whether this means anything, like, because everything in America is bigger, right? But in our city, we have a brand new casino being built, and it's so big that like all of the tradies that work in there, like all the Sparkies, all the dudes building it, they actually have to work with like a friend, like a buddy, like a work buddy, because it's so big. I don't know what that means.
So they don't get lost, or just
like if someone gets fucked up, there's someone with them to like call for help, I guess.
Crazy.
Yeah. So, but no, typically I'm not a gambler.
Yeah, back in the day when I was younger, I used to go to the casino, but back in the day I didn't have disposable income like I do now. I can't fucking So I think I played on tables maybe once or twice, but the rest I'm just slapping those pokie machines. Throw a cheeky $20 note or a cheeky.
That's what I like. I like doing just the slots and the poker machines. It's all luck and just for fun.
Yeah, just have a bit of fun. Nothing serious. Couldn't imagine they're just like looking at my cards, just like looking around, just like fuck all you guys.
At our casino, dude, it's everything, the lifts, the menus, the fucking all the instructions, everything. It's all in it's in Australian or English or whatever, but it's all in Chinese as well. Because like we get so many, I guess.
Now, what like for us, like it's either press 1 for English or 2 for Spanish. What's your 2? Is your 2 Spanish or Chinese?
There's no Spanish here, bro.
Yeah.
There's no Spanish?
Nah, like there'll be like
Mexican. Over here, they force the kids to learn Spanish in middle school now. So like over there, they don't care. There's nothing.
No. So we are multicultural, but it's all Asian or Middle Eastern. That would be
now.
Right.
Are you guys getting like woke, like how America is? Like, if you want to wake up and say that you're a girl and run track or swim against girls, now you can like America is just getting like crazy with the wokeness. And if somebody wants to be a dirt bike tomorrow, you gotta let them be called a dirt bike. It's just crazy. Is Australia doing
it's pretty wild.
No, it's happening everywhere, bro. And I mean, I don't know. Look, I know exactly how I feel about it, but it's just in today's world, like I don't know what's acceptable to say or not.
You gotta walk on eggshells, especially like trying to maintain any kind of social platform at all. You gotta appease to everybody, and it's difficult.
I mean, all I do is like I got 3 daughters, and they're all different. They all go through stages and stuff like that. And all we try and do is just like be normal.
Yeah.
Like if I had a son and he wanted to wear a dress, no big deal. But am I gonna buy him dresses and be like, yeah, dude, you can wear this to the shop? That to me, that's not.
Now, what do you do? Like, I have a daughter, but she's only 7. But like in America, it's tradition. Whenever your daughter gets whatever 15, 16 and goes out on a first date, the dad's supposed to get the shotgun, get the 9mm, rack it next to his face, tell him he's got to be home by 10. Like, what do you guys threaten him with? Like
we just throw spiders at the prick. Fuck you.
Probably some sort of shiv or shank.
Yeah,
to his throat.
Prison rules.
Cut off his foreskin, maybe.
Cut off his foreskin, wear it as a ring, and just say, you'll get this back when you pass the test.
That's crazy.
Yeah, nah, people, they certainly won't. I mean, they're not going to fuck with his daughters, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
He'll fucking rape them.
Yeah.
We're not super woke on this podcast, so
Yeah. Like America's getting, it's just crazy. Like every day you hear something on the news and you're like, what the hell's going on? You know what I mean? It's just, and you try like, I was brought up, you just try to be nice to everybody, like I don't, I think nowadays that everybody needs to know too much. Like if I'm watching a show or watching an athlete or a fighter, like I don't need to know who he's sleeping with or any of that other stuff. Like I just want to watch you because you play football or because you are a fighter. I don't care about any of your other private stuff. Like stuff I just think used to be private and now like they feel like everything's got to be out and no matter what it is, you have to accept it. And that's another thing, like by starting to help these companies show off electric mowers, like like I said before, like I don't talk about politics or religion that much, but damn near every time I can't even take a video of an electric zero turn and talk about it without being called like a liberal Democrat, Biden lover, something. And it's like, it's like, bro, like I'm just talking about electric. And I feel like a lot of people here, I don't know how, if they're trying to convert Australia to electric, but America, they're trying real hard to push electric down your throat. And not a lot of people like it.
Well, we are both huge. We're very pro battery. I can
Yeah.
see, look, we converted to battery, not everything, but all the trimmers, hedge trimmers, blowers, chainsaws. We converted all of that in our business, and it was a huge plus, almost across the board. So we're huge on it. The problem with Australia is that, and especially since COVID, so you guys get everything first. We get the dregs of the market. So whatever didn't sell in America is what we fucking get.
or the UK
Yeah.
even.
Yeah, sometimes we even get European product done.
Now, what about like electric zero turns? Are people using them over there in a professional setting?
So mostly in your government setups or big local councils, your everyday, say, solo operator or even medium to large size business, a lot of handhelds, battery handhelds are getting used. Brands like Ego, Husqvarna, Still. I think you guys call it Steel. We pronounce it Still. And did I say Makita?
No, there's Nikita, Milwaukee.
Makita and Milwaukee are getting over pretty good. They're definitely not the leaders.
I think the issue that we're having and that they're not doing well with is that they're kind of making people feel forced. Where if instead of saying, "Oh, look, in 2 years you have to do this," they should say, "Hey, use this electric because it's less vibration, it's easier on your body, it's less maintenance," and talk about some of the perks. I think they're making it so political that they're like, "Oh, hey, this is so much better for the environment," which I personally don't believe that it is. But it's like they're forcing you. They're putting a gun to your head and saying, you have to use electric or you're not going to have a choice. And I think that's the wrong way to go about it.
Well,
And I guess maybe over there, they're not making it as like demanding
No,
and
it's
forceful.
seriously, dude. It's not very political over here. Something that I've always found crazy is because I always look at America as a whole, and it seems very political. But you guys are not forced to vote, right? Is that
We're
correct?
not. No.
So
No.
we are forced to vote. If we don't vote, we get fined, like, and we have to pay money if we don't vote. And I got to be honest, Ken, like seriously, who the fuck is our prime minister right now? Like, who's running our country?
Albanese.
See, like I feel like
Yeah, I don't
over
even
here,
fucking-
really, it wasn't that crazy, at least in my generation, until like Trump ran. And then when Trump ran, it really like just shook everything
Yeah.
up. And it used to be like, oh, you could have views on both sides, or you could be a Republican or a Democrat and have some opinions of the other side. You know what I mean? Now it's like ever since Trump came in, like you're either blue or red, and you gotta. It's almost like they want you to hate the other side. There's no in between anymore.
I would probably say that 80% of Australia is neutral, where it doesn't matter what side there is, whatever that person is, like for here, there'll be a political party and it'll be like, okay, we're for the working man or we're for this and that. And it just is constantly changing. It's not like, okay, you're from Sydney, you're blue or red. It's not like that at all here.
I think at the moment we're seeing a trend where people are just too busy to give a fuck because our cost of living is like going through the roof. So
I think
everybody
maybe like our media, like I feel like our media just makes it so political. Every little thing is political now. Like, and it's the media. I don't know if your media is as strong, but our media just crams shit down your throat, and everything's political now. Sports, everything. Like you can't even just watch a fucking TV without, everything being political or woke or something. Like it's just to just be normal and just not have drama is hard to handle these days.
Yeah, we only really get political stuff around like voting time. We get fed a heap of shit. You know what we see more of than anything now during sports is gambling ads. It's fucking rank, man. Like, well, I know you guys didn't have that for a long time.
We didn't, and we're getting that now. You can literally do all these prop bets and side bets, and that's where they're starting to say like the NFL's like getting rigged and the refs and stuff. So now that you can bet on the stupidest stuff, it's hard to believe that some of the people pulling the strings can't do something. So it's way too much gambling shit.
Oh, it's huge. Like you could literally like 5 or 6 ads in a row would just be like different sports bets, TAB, Ladbrokes. It's huge, man. But
it's intense. My brother is pretty high up at a company called Ladbrokes, and it's basically just, I guess, like a betting platform, and it's fucking intense. Like he's a stat guy too, so like all the American sports, all the Australian sports, all the horse racing, like it's intense how much gambling and stuff there really is. But look, I mean, in moderation, it's fun.
Everything's good in moderation.
But we don't have any of really that political stuff, like in terms of there's no one's questioning an athlete for dropping games, or no one's questioning a referee for
now like a serious question. Like, we're the same age, so like I grew up with like Sylvester Stallone, Steven Seagal, Jean-Claude Van Damme. I mean, did you only have Crocodile Dundee, or is that the only thing that was over there?
We got everything that you got, bro.
Yeah.
So like,
now is Crocodile Dundee like a big guy over there, like Steven Seagal was here? Or is
Paul Hogan was he was popular before Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah,
he was on like sitcoms and he did ads and stuff like that. And then,
I remember that, and I thought that was like really cool. So I just assumed that guy's like a badass, like Chuck Norris is over here,
But have you seen Chopper Reed? Oh, you gotta. I'll send you that. You have to watch the movie Chopper Reed. Chopper Reed was you want to take the floor?
He's a bit like an anti-villain.
I think he's dead now.
Yeah, so
he's like this total fucking psycho who was like this full-on badass, but he would actually, like, instead of staunching over regular people, he would just staunch the drug dealers and all the murderers and stuff.
He was like a lovable villain. He literally on YouTube, you can see it, he does a news report and he puts a gun to the news lady's head, and it's wild.
So you guys basically are just watching the same shows that we watch.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, I like, say for example, when I was growing up, we wouldn't eat dinner as a family at the table. Well, sometimes we would. We would eat it in the lounge room watching The Simpsons.
Okay.
As a family. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
So like anytime there's like a major Netflix or Amazon Prime show, you guys get it at the same time we get it. You're watching the same stuff.
These days, mate, it's hot off the satellite. So I think, like, I'm watching Yellowstone right now. I think. Come on, why is that funny?
Hold on.
It's just Yellowstone is like so not Australian, you know, like guns and property and no spiders and shit. Just seems funny.
But anyway, I think like we get it on a Monday, so I'm assuming the new episodes drop on a Sunday.
Yeah.
It's a lot more updated. But the only thing is we do get deprived of like all of your local stuff. So like we don't get like A&E TV and or we
Now, what
might
about
get it.
like with sports? Like what's big over there? Like NFL or soccer or what's big?
NBA is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really?
Um,
You don't really see a lot of Australian like NBA guys, I don't think, do you?
come on, Ken. Come on,
There's
mate.
a few. There's a few.
That's probably one of the sports where Australians are starting to break in the door.
Like who's the number one? I don't really watch NBA, but like who's a name that I would know?
Ben Simmons?
No,
Don't know him?
never heard of him.
Okay. Ben Simmons, he was the number one pick in the draft a couple of years back. Andrew Bogut, he's Australian. He was the number one pick.
What about like the World Cup? Was Australia in the World Cup soccer at all?
Yeah.
I don't
think
watch that shit.
yeah, well, I don't really watch Australian soccer, but I'd say they were there. I guess
And what
there is.
about what about NFL? Do you guys watch NFL at all?
I don't personally watch NFL.
Yeah, I don't either.
But there's a couple of Aussies playing in the NFL. They're just I think they're like, what do you call it? Where they're not the quarterbacks, but they're
kickers.
They're kickers.
Because we have AFL here, and it's super like it's just ridiculously focused on kicking the ball. Like you don't really you handball it. You really need to see it to believe it.
The difference between our sports and your sports is they're all very American sports seem to be orientated a lot on like set plays and strategic. Whereas in Australia, it's like, give us the fucking ball and I'm going to get to that line. And it's non-stop back and forth.
Look up NRL's greatest hits.
There's no time. There's no timeouts. There's none of that.
Yeah.
But
our games are 80 minutes.
Honestly, like other than the fucking spiders, it doesn't sound that bad over there.
No, it's mad.
Oh no, it's awesome here. Like
there's no way if I saw like a gigantic paper plate sized spider and I didn't shoot it, there's no way I'm sleeping that night. Like it's just impossible.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't sleep here much then.
Yeah.
But honestly, Australia, I'm not going to say it's a lot like America, but it's nowhere near as different as what everyone thinks. The biggest thing, like, because I did some research, the biggest thing that I learned about my research was that there's Australia, the poverty line, like it is not like a clear poverty line. Like if you're rich and you're poor, you can live in the same neighborhoods. And it seemed like in America, there is always that clear line of you either have or you don't have. Would that be correct?
All like the same? Do you have all the same car brands that we have?
No, I think most of them. I mean, like he drives a Ram. They're just named different things. Like we have Toyota. We have.
Did you guys get the new Ford Bronco over there?
So they're the things that we don't get. Like we don't really have. Like we got F-150s, F-250s. We get things like that, but like Escalades, Broncos, Chevys, stuff like that. They're sort of the stuff that we don't really have, but it's becoming way more common.
Yeah.
So we had Ford being manufactured in Australia, which is now not possible. And then we had a car company called Holden, which is a branch of General Motors, and huge Aussie iconic brand. And now we don't even have that fucking made here. So there is no such thing really as Australian manufacturing anymore.
Except for Cash Pro.
Yeah. Good. And again, like back to the very beginning, like when are you sending that dozen here? Will I get it by Christmas?
You'll have to chat to Corey.
Just send it to me in small parts, one at a time.
They'll have to be flat pack.
Mate, I can't even tell you, like, I think when we get stuff off Corey, like, I have to, the shipping, once you convert it to Australian dollars, pay customs and everything, is like double the amount of what I paid for the fucking product. It's ridiculous.
Well, take Skag, for instance. Before COVID, it cost about $7,000 for a container. Now it's costing $20,000 for a container. So that's it. Like, someone's got to absorb some of the cost. And
so put this into context as well. How much is a 60-inch hyperdrive in America?
So if you got like a base hyperdrive, probably like 16 grand.
So they were about 27,000 here, and now I would say they're probably around 30 grand. So the mint green.
How does that work out? Like with what you guys usually make? Like, you're making like similar amount of money, right? That we make.
So
30 grand.
30 grand for a hyperdrive.
Now what is the Australian dollar to our dollar?
When I came over, it was about 64 cents. So
it's bad right now, bro.
Yeah.
But it wasn't always bad. But apparently our average wages are higher than the average. So if you're a kid and you work at McDonald's here, they're probably making $20 an hour now.
Yeah.
Or
maybe like 17.
Maybe $17 an hour as a kid.
How's your like health insurance there?
We got a good health system.
Yeah, it's free.
Yeah.
So if you wanna jump you can sit in line, like for things like dental and things like that, you can just hang out and wait on the public system, or you can pay to go intermediate, and yeah, it's pretty handy.
Like if I got sick, I could go down to the doctor for free. And if I got a prescription, I'd have to pay for the drugs or whatever. But you can go down to the doctor for free, essentially.
Now, if they said tomorrow, and they said, look, we're joining forces with America, and anybody that wants the right to bear arms, you can carry a gun. Do you think like a lot of Australia just wouldn't care? Or do you think you'd actually have like a good amount of guys wanting to like tote a gun around like Americans?
I don't think so.
Look, honestly, pal, we had a massacre here about 20 years ago. And some dude, so this is when guns were legal. Some dude got pissed off, grabbed a gun, and just massacred all of these innocent people. And, the government at the time was like, this is fucking getting out of control. And we can't monitor the amount of legal guns because there's just, too much. And there was a huge cull. So every registered weapon had to be handed in, and anything that wasn't registered or didn't have a permit, if you got caught, you were going to jail.
Yeah.
And I know that the Americans see it as, okay, now we are not armed, we can't protect ourselves. But the way that we see it is that if you get into an altercation, if someone robs your house, if someone, whatever, there are no guns. So, it's, we see things over there and there's like, someone shoots up a fucking shopping center and it's like no one else had a gun, and and it's supposed to be like the way that you guys see it is like no one could protect themselves because no one had a gun. But the way that we're seeing it is like anytime that there's a gun present, it just it's just creates a bad situation. Like we see the shit, you know, a 4-year-old will pick up a gun out of the mum's purse and be like, "Hey, mommy, bang!" And the way we look at it is like, if you didn't have a fucking gun there, that would not have happened. So we've only had one massacre in 20 years since then. I think stats don't. I'm not super passionate about this, but like you look at Canada, and they have, I think, similar laws to us. They're a little bit more relaxed, but it's the same thing. There are no mass shootings. Like,
yeah, I think Canada's definitely made some changes. Like I think they banned assault rifles and a whole bunch of different stuff the last few years. America, it's like if you don't own 15 guns, like you don't just own one gun. You own like 10, 12 guns. You know what I mean? It's like a minimum. So it's just crazy, you know, it's a whole different world, you know. Like when you're 21 here, you go buy a handgun, then you go get a collector status and you buy like 20 handguns. It's just like, you know, like buying tea somewhere else, you buy guns.
I look at it and you know, you hear Americans say like, it's my fucking right. It's the, you know, what is it, the First Amendment or Second Amendment or whatever it is. And
oh yeah.
Yeah, you're like, you know, it's my fucking right. But that's like a fucking 300-year-old or 200-year-old rule. Like times change, and sometimes. Anyway, it's not for me to say. I mean, it doesn't.
Well,
affect me.
just know that when you come to Kentucky next year, I'll keep you safe. Okay.
I think like we have friends and mates that go shooting, they go pig hunting. You know, like we still have all of that. But what I reckon is really sad is when you hear all the stories of children being killed or, you know, police being innocent people being killed. Even over here, bro, our cops, they have guns and everything, but they use a lot of rubber bullets. So that, and you could fuck someone up with one of them, right? You know, if someone's trying to get away with you and you shoot someone in the knee with one of them, they're not going too far. But you're not taking that person's life away. I don't know. Like I said,
I mean, it sounds like other than a little bit of gun stuff and the bugs were pretty similar, you know.
Oh, definitely. I was so surprised, man. When I came over, like I had a preconceived idea of what everyone was going to be like, and it just blew me away, like how friendly everyone was. Maybe because like Nashville was our first stop, and like that's a party strip. Like we stayed on the strip, but everyone was so friendly. Then we went to the expo. Everyone was awesome there. Then I got to go to Chicago. Went to a Blackhawks game. Some dude offered me his big black dick in the street. That was a bit weird. And it was really...
See, we don't get many of them. There's not a lot of we got like barely any African Americans. I think I've only met like one or two in my whole life.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's but we have a lot of Asians, a lot of sort of like Lebanese, Indians.
There's a lot more Sudanese and stuff coming into the country now as refugees, which is this country was like sort of built on, you know, multiculturalism. So it's not that big of a thing to see like 15 different races as you walk down the street. It is like
we got a lot of islanders.
Yeah, heaps of like Samoans, Tongans, Kiwis all flock over here as well.
You usually don't fuck with them. Usually don't fuck with them when they're on the piss. When they're drinking, you usually like they're cool and everything, but if you fuck with them, they'll break you in half.
Yeah. Well, look, we definitely got to do this again. You know what I mean? We got to definitely when the season starts or even before then, I definitely want to jump back on here with you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, in preparation for that, you have to start getting yourself familiar with a little bit of Australian sport.
Yeah,
NRL.
the next time we talk, I'll do like a report on Australia, and I'll cover a couple different topics.
I'll send you a few. I send Corey a few links every now and then of some sporting stuff and just stuff that I see. So I'll remember to include you.
No, for sure.
But it was awesome. Thanks for taking the time out. Thanks for
look, you gotta whatever you have to do, start planning it now. And I will get you in the biggest booth at the coolest show in the world. I'll let you announce the mower giveaway. It will be like the baddest. You'll be surrounded by 1,000 people. It'll be amazing.
What happens if I'm stage fright?
Trust me, you'll be fine. You'll have Corey Ballard there in a medium shirt, and I'm sure by that time this treadmill will start finally working. So I'll be there probably with my shirt off. It'll be a great event.
Do you reckon Corey would hold my hand while I was up on stage?
100%. Corey would put you on his shoulders. It's going to be badass. You have to go to this thing.
Yeah, no, I can't wait. And would you ever consider coming to Australia, mate?
Like when I told you I was working for Hilti and I planned on being with them forever when I was young, they were going to, like, you could petition and set up to get shipped over different countries. And I wanted to go to Australia back in the day. I thought it would be awesome. So it definitely would be cool. If I start making Corey Ballard money one day, maybe I'll take a trip somewhere,
Yeah, because it would cost a fuckload to get over here.
How was that flight? How like, I hate flying. I've flown like 30 times, but every time I fly, I think about dying the whole time. But what was that flight like? It had to be horrible.
No, it was sweet, man. I don't mind it. I literally, because I got 3 kids, like I don't really get to watch movies from front to back. So it was a nice change. Food was all right.
How long of a flight was it?
15 hours.
That's crazy.
That is the main reason why I don't want to go.
I don't really, that scares the shit out of me. A 15-hour flight across the ocean.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. The only thing that scares me is like I can't sit still. Like I'm not good at sitting still. So
now, how was 15-hour flight being a bigger person? Was it even worse?
Well, the dude next to me tried to bail. He tried to bail to first class, so not as bad for me as it was for him.
It's actually about to cut out, Kenny, mate. So
all right, guys.
I want to thank you so much for being on. Everyone who's listening to this, make sure you get amongst the Stripe Life page. Seems like we have a little Australian presence there. It'd be great for
for sure,
help building that community. And until next time, mate, thanks very much.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, see you guys.
See you, man.